We live in a world where the difference between wealth and struggle is not determined by luck, education, or even opportunity. It is determined by thought. The greatest asset any human being possesses is the mind, and yet most people never truly learn to use it. They let it wander like an untamed animal, reacting to circumstances instead of directing them. But those who understand how to train their mind, how to discipline their thoughts, soon find that life itself begins to bend in their favor. The rich are not rich because of money. They are rich because of how they think about money, work, time, and possibility. Their wealth begins long before it appears in the physical world. It begins in the mind. The rich think in terms of value, not time. This is one of the most profound differences between how wealthy minds operate and how the average person moves through life. Most people are conditioned from childhood to trade hours for money. They grow up believing that the only way to earn more is to work longer, harder, or faster. They view their time as the currency of life, and once that time is spent, it's gone forever. But the wealthy understand something deeper. Money is not earned by time, it's earned by value. What matters is not how many hours you put in, but how much value you create in those hours. They know that 1 hour of creative, focused, high-value work can be worth more than 100 hours of repetitive effort. To think in terms of value, you must begin by shifting your mental lens. Instead of asking, "How much will I get paid for this?" start asking, "How much value can I bring?" This one question transforms the way you approach everything you do. The rich don't seek wages, they seek worth. They understand that the world rewards the people who solve problems, meet needs, and make life easier or better for others. Every invention, every business, every piece of art that ever created wealth did so, because it added something valuable to human life. That's the principle the rich live by. When you train your mind to think in terms of value, you begin to rise above the crowd. You start to notice opportunities others overlook. You start to see where things could be improved, streamlined, simplified, or made more beautiful. You begin to think creatively rather than mechanically. While others complain about the way things are, you ask yourself how they could be better. And in that simple mental shift lies the seed of wealth. It's not about working harder, it's about thinking smarter. The average person spends their time doing tasks that could be done by anyone. The rich spend their time doing things that few can do, things that use their unique skills, insights, and imagination. They invest time into building systems, businesses, and ideas that multiply value long after the initial effort is done. They build things that keep working even when they're not. That's why the rich can step away from their work without losing income, while others cannot afford a single day off. A person who thinks in terms of value asks, "How can I serve more people?" The more people you serve and the more value you bring, the greater your income becomes. That's not a motivational slogan. It's a law of nature. If you help one person solve a problem, you make a small difference. If you help 1,000,000 people solve a problem, you create wealth. The scale of your value determines the scale of your rewards. The rich know this instinctively, and so they spend their lives expanding the reach of their value. To train your mind this way, start by identifying what you already do that helps others. Then ask, "How can I do it better? How can I reach more people with it? How can I create something that continues to deliver value without my constant effort?" These questions open the door to innovation. They force your mind to stop thinking like a worker and start thinking like a creator. The difference between a paycheck and a fortune is the difference between effort and creation. The rich don't count hours, they count impact. They understand that time is limited, but value is infinite. They may have the same 24 hours in a day as everyone else, but the way they use those hours multiplies their results 1,000-fold. The moment you stop measuring your worth by the clock and start measuring it by the value you bring, your entire relationship with work, money, and opportunity begins to transform. The rich see abundance, not limitation. This single way of seeing the world separates those who create wealth from those who only dream about it. Most people look around and see what's missing, what they don't have, what they can't afford, what they've lost. Their minds are trained to detect scarcity, to focus on lack, to believe that opportunities are rare and resources are running out. But the minds of the rich operate in the opposite direction. They see possibility where others see barriers. They believe there is more than enough to go around. They see the world as overflowing with opportunity, and that belief alone changes everything about how they think, act, and live. When you train your mind to focus on abundance, you begin to open your perception. You stop seeing only what is visible, and you start seeing potential. To a poor mindset, an empty lot is useless ground. To a rich mindset, it's a future building, a park, a business, or a home. The difference isn't the land, it's the lens. What one person calls impossible, another calls a challenge waiting to be solved. This is not blind optimism. It's a discipline of thought. The rich deliberately cultivate the ability to look past obstacles and into possibilities because they know that every limitation they accept becomes a wall inside their mind. The belief in abundance frees the imagination. It removes fear from decision-making. Most people never take action because they're afraid of losing the little they have. They're afraid there isn't enough to go around, so they cling to what's safe and familiar. The rich, however, understand that ideas are infinite. They know they can always create more because creativity has no limit. That's why they can take bold steps, invest in opportunities, or build something new. They trust that even if one idea fails, another will come. They operate from a place of internal security rather than external fear. Thinking in abundance also changes how you see others. When you believe that there's enough success for everyone, you stop seeing people as competition. The poor mindset says, if they win, I lose. The rich mindset says, if they win, that means winning is possible. They celebrate success because it reinforces their belief in possibility. That's why the rich build networks, form partnerships, and collaborate. They see growth as something that multiplies when shared. The mindset of abundance turns relationships into assets and opportunities into collaborations. To think abundantly is to recognize that everything you need to grow already exists around you, waiting to be used, connected, or developed. Every skill, every contact, every bit of information, every moment of time can be turned into something valuable if you look at it with creative eyes. The problem is never the lack of resources. It's the lack of resourcefulness. The rich don't wait for ideal conditions. They make use of what they have and expand from there. They see abundance not because they are rich, but because they trained their minds to see it long before the wealth arrived. If you fill your mind with thoughts of limitation, you will always find proof that you are trapped. The world mirrors what you believe. When you believe in scarcity, you notice lack everywhere you go. When you believe in abundance, you start to see new chances emerging from every direction. What used to look like a dead end now looks like a doorway. What used to feel like rejection now feels like redirection. The rich train their minds to interpret events through the lens of growth, not loss. Abundance is not something you wait to experience once you have money. It's a way of thinking that must come first. You must practice gratitude for what you already have, because gratitude is the soil in which abundance grows. A grateful mind cannot see scarcity. When you appreciate what is, you attract more of it. When you dwell on what's missing, you repel it. The rich understand that abundance begins with awareness, and awareness begins with thought. So they fill their thoughts with possibility, creativity, and the unshakable conviction that there will always be more to discover, more to create, and more to give. The rich think long-term. This is one of the most defining characteristics of how they approach life, money, and success. While most people focus on immediate results, the wealthy play the long game. They understand that time is not something to be feared, but something to be used. They see it as a partner in creation, not an enemy to be outrun. The average person looks for quick rewards, fast money, and instant gratification. They want to see the harvest before they've planted the seed. The rich, on the other hand, are patient. They plant, they water, they wait. They know that true success takes time to mature, just like a tree that cannot bear fruit the day it's planted. This mindset allows them to make better decisions because they are not driven by short-term emotion. The poor mindset asks, what will this do for me today? The rich mindset asks, what will this become in 5 years? That single shift changes everything. When you think long-term, you stop wasting energy on things that don't matter. You start investing your time, energy, and money into things that grow. You think like a builder, not a consumer. You understand that compound growth applies to everything: money, skills, relationships, and habits. What you do consistently, over time, multiplies. The rich live by this principle while others ignore it. Every fortune ever built started with a vision that extended beyond the present moment. The rich see what doesn't yet exist and work toward it patiently. They endure setbacks because they understand that progress is not measured in days but in years. They don't give up when things get slow because they know that success builds silently long before it appears publicly. The poor mindset demands proof before belief. The rich believe long before proof. This is why they persist when others quit. Long-term thinking also changes how you perceive failure. Most people see failure as an ending. The rich see it as feedback. They view each setback as part of the process, not as a reason to stop. Because their minds are anchored in the long game, temporary defeats don't discourage them. They educate them. They analyze, adjust, and continue forward. Their patience protects them from the emotional storms that destroy short-term thinkers. When you stop reacting to every up and down and instead focus on the horizon, you gain control over your emotions and your direction. Another key part of long-term thinking is the habit of delayed gratification. The rich understand that every reward has a waiting period. They are willing to sacrifice comfort today for greater gain tomorrow. This doesn't mean they deny themselves joy. It means they know when to wait. They invest money instead of spending it. They invest time in learning instead of wasting it on entertainment. They build foundations instead of chasing trends. Every decision is guided by its future value, not its current pleasure. The reason most people never build lasting success is because they think in short cycles. They live from paycheck to paycheck, month to month, year to year, reacting to whatever happens. The rich build systems and structures that support their long-term goals. They think decades ahead. They envision the kind of life they want to live, and then make daily choices that align with that vision. Each action is a brick in a wall that will one day stand tall. They understand that consistency, not intensity, builds greatness. Training your mind to think long-term requires discipline. It means learning to ignore distractions, trends, and noise. It means focusing on what will still matter years from now. The rich have mastered the art of patience, not because they are naturally calm, but because they know that time rewards those who use it wisely. They see time as leverage. The more they invest it, the more it multiplies. A year of steady effort may look small to the impatient, but to the long-term thinker, it's another step toward inevitable success. The future always belongs to those who prepare for it. The rich focus on growth, not comfort. This single difference explains why so many people remain stuck where they are while a small group continues to rise year after year. Most people spend their lives seeking comfort, safety, and convenience. They build their days around what feels good, what's easy, and what's familiar. But the mind that is trained for wealth understands that comfort is the enemy of progress. Growth happens only when you step beyond what you know, when you move into discomfort, when you challenge your own limits. The rich live by this truth. They do not chase the illusion of ease. They chase the reality of expansion. Growth is never pleasant at first. It demands change, and change always creates resistance. The rich accept that discomfort is a natural sign of progress. They know that if life feels too easy for too long, it means they've stopped evolving. They intentionally put themselves in situations that stretch their thinking, their creativity, and their courage. They take on projects that intimidate them. They pursue goals that force them to become someone new. Where most people turn back at the first sign of difficulty, the rich lean in. They understand that every obstacle holds a lesson, and every challenge builds strength. The average person spends years trying to avoid struggle, yet that very avoidance keeps them weak. The rich build mental and emotional muscles by facing struggle directly. They know that confidence doesn't come from avoiding fear, it comes from walking through it. Each time they conquer a fear, their sense of power grows. That power compounds over time until they no longer fear failure or rejection because they've learned to survive both. Growth has conditioned them to stay calm where others panic, to stay persistent where others give up. This focus on growth also applies to how they use their time. Most people waste hours on entertainment, gossip, and distraction, activities that offer temporary comfort but no development. The rich spend that same time learning, reading, observing, and experimenting. They are obsessed with progress. Every book, every conversation, every experience becomes a tool for self-improvement. They know that the more they grow as individuals, the more capable they become of creating wealth and opportunity. Their focus is never on what they have, but on who they are becoming. The rich treat their minds like fertile soil that must constantly be cultivated. They challenge old beliefs, question assumptions, and remain curious even after success. This mindset keeps them evolving while others become stagnant. They know that what brought them success today will not keep them successful tomorrow. The world changes, markets shift, people evolve, and so must they. Their willingness to keep learning is what keeps them ahead. Comfort tells a person they've done enough. Growth whispers that there's always more to discover. It's not that the rich never feel tired or discouraged. They do, but they've trained themselves to see discomfort as proof that they're on the right path. While others seek to escape pain, they study it, learn from it, and transform it into progress. They understand that the road to mastery is paved with mistakes, setbacks, and long nights of uncertainty. They endure them willingly because they know what lies beyond them is freedom. The ability to keep growing makes them unstoppable. When you begin to focus on growth instead of comfort, your world expands. You start to welcome challenges because you know they sharpen you. You stop running from fear and start using it as fuel. Each time you stretch, you move closer to your potential. Each time you adapt, you increase your capacity. The rich are not driven by comfort because they know that comfort never built greatness. They are driven by the desire to grow, to evolve, and to become more capable than they were yesterday. The rich think in terms of systems, not effort. Most people believe that success comes from working harder, longer, and faster, but the rich understand that hard work alone has limits. There are only so many hours in a day, only so much energy a person can give. Effort without structure eventually leads to exhaustion. The wealthy think differently. They design systems that multiply their effort. They create mechanisms that allow work, money, and ideas to continue producing results long after the initial energy is spent. They don't rely on their physical presence to generate income. They rely on systems that work whether they're there or not. A system is simply a process that works consistently without constant supervision. It can be a business model, an investment strategy, an automated routine, or a set of habits that produce predictable results. The rich spend their time building and refining these systems. They ask questions like, how can I make this process more efficient? How can I automate this task? How can I design something that continues to operate while I focus on something new? They don't measure success by how busy they are, but by how independent their results are from their direct effort. This way of thinking changes everything about how they approach opportunity. The average person looks for jobs that pay more. The rich look for systems that scale more. The average person works for income. The rich build assets that produce income. They think like architects instead of laborers. When faced with a task, they immediately look for leverage. They ask themselves how to use technology, people, or processes to make the outcome bigger, faster, or more reliable. Their goal is not to do everything themselves. It's to design a way for things to be done efficiently and continuously. Because they think in systems, the rich are always building structures that last. A musician creates a song once, but it earns royalties for years. An investor sets up a portfolio that compounds wealth automatically. An entrepreneur builds a team and a process that allows a business to grow without constant micromanagement. The rich understand that true freedom doesn't come from working more. It comes from building structures that work for you. Thinking in systems also changes how they view mistakes. While others see failure as something personal, the rich see it as a flaw in the system. They don't blame themselves when something goes wrong. They analyze the process, find the weakness, and improve it. This mindset removes emotion from failure and replaces it with logic. Every breakdown becomes an opportunity to strengthen the system. Over time, these refinements make their results almost automatic. Their success isn't luck, it's engineered. This principle extends beyond money. The rich create systems for learning, for health, for time management, for relationships. They know that consistency beats intensity. A well-designed daily habit done over years is far more powerful than bursts of motivation. Their discipline is not driven by willpower alone, but by structure. They make success the default outcome by designing environments that support their goals. Where others rely on mood or inspiration, the rich rely on systems that don't depend on emotion to function. Most people never escape the cycle of effort because they never take the time to build structure. They chase immediate output and stay trapped in endless labor. The rich escape this trap because they shift their focus from doing to designing. They know that time is the most valuable resource, and systems are the only way to multiply it. Every hour spent building a system is an investment that pays forever. The moment your results depend less on your direct effort and more on a process that works independently, you step into the mindset of wealth. The rich don't just work, they build machines that keep working for them. The rich control their inner conversation. Every person has a voice inside their head that speaks all day long, shaping their beliefs, guiding their actions, and influencing their emotions. For most people, that voice runs wild, filled with doubt, fear, and limitation. It repeats what they've been told, what they've failed at, and what they fear might happen next. The rich understand that this inner dialogue is the foundation of everything they create. They have trained their minds to speak with intention. They know that thoughts become reality, and that the words they silently repeat to themselves are either programming success or reinforcing failure. Every great achievement begins as a thought. Before a business, a movement, or a fortune exists, it exists first in the mind as an idea, and that idea must be believed before it can be built. The rich guard that belief. They feed their inner voice with images of success, words of confidence, and visions of possibility. They deliberately choose to focus on what they want, not on what they fear. Most people let their inner conversation drift toward negativity because it feels automatic. The rich don't allow that. They interrupt doubt with certainty. They speak to themselves the way a great leader speaks to their team, with direction, vision, and purpose. This control of inner conversation is not something that happens overnight. It's a daily discipline. The rich practice self-awareness. They listen to what they're telling themselves and change it when it doesn't serve them. When a thought of limitation arises, they replace it with one of possibility. When fear whispers that something can't be done, they answer with the quiet conviction that it can. Over time, this training reshapes their subconscious mind. Their inner voice becomes their ally instead of their enemy. It encourages them to persist, to take risks, to believe in their ideas even when no one else does. The mind believes what it hears most often. The rich use this truth to their advantage. They repeat affirmations of success until those affirmations become their new reality. They visualize their goals with clarity until their minds accept them as inevitable. They understand that the subconscious doesn't distinguish between imagination and reality. It responds to repetition and emotion. So they use both intentionally, flooding their inner world with thoughts of confidence and abundance until that mindset becomes natural. Most people think the difference between success and failure is external, education, connections, timing, but the real difference is internal. Two people can face the same challenge, and one will see defeat while the other sees opportunity. The only difference is their inner dialogue. The rich have learned to master that inner language. They speak to themselves in ways that create power, not paralysis. They don't let doubt dictate their decisions. They use their thoughts as tools to construct the future they want. This mastery of the inner voice also gives them resilience. When things go wrong, they don't allow the voice of panic to take over. They talk themselves through difficulties with calm and confidence. They focus their mind on solutions instead of problems. This is why they can stay composed in chaos. They've trained the conversation inside to remain steady no matter what happens outside. The average person is controlled by circumstance. The rich are guided by belief. Learning to control your inner conversation is the foundation of all success. Every time you tell yourself you can't, you close a door. Every time you tell yourself you can, you open one. The mind responds to direction, and the rich never leave that direction to chance. They choose their words carefully, both spoken and unspoken, because they know that words shape destiny. The outer world eventually becomes a reflection of the inner one, and those who control their thoughts control their outcomes. The rich live by this law every day, shaping their reality from the inside out through the constant, disciplined mastery of their inner voice.